Every second on the way, I felt like I was gonna die. I really then understood how fragile life can be and how important it is to really just enjoy every moment, because it can be gone just like that. I really thought this could be the last few seconds or minutes of my life.
I think I had enough. All this money got me acting up. Niggas be mad as fuck, cause they know I got.
Hi everyone, and welcome to my official start of the series Inside the Ropes. I'm Anna, and I'm super excited to have you all here and dive into this incredible journey of athletes from all walks of life. And technically this isn't my very first episode. I already tried filming it before, but life had other plans. But now we're here, and I can't wait to share my story with you. With this podcast series, I want to create a platform and safe space for athletes to share their authentic stories, peeling back the media-crafted persona athletes are often defined by, and revealing who they are outside of that. Because as athletes, we are so much more than our gold medals, trophies, and whatever the media makes us out to be. Studies show that up to 35% of elite athletes struggle with mental health conditions, including depression. Factors contributing to these struggles include intense pressure, unrealistic expectations, overtraining, burnout, and a narrow athlete identity that can hinder self-image outside of sports. I want this to be a space of healing, learning, and growth for everyone listening, without judgment, no hate, but rather with the appreciation to connect with our beloved athletes on a deeper level. So let me take you back to the very beginning. I was just a toddler, barely able to walk when I started playing golf. I got my very first set of plastic clubs from my brother, who is 6 years older than me. And from that moment on, I was hooked. Our family traveled a lot to the United States for a vacation, and we would also compete over there. And I just loved how people celebrated golf. You know, the excitement around the game, and that just basically made me dream of following my passion in the United States. Because sadly in Europe, but Germany specifically, there's still this really big stereotype around golfers and it only being a rich sport and only for old people. I'm not really sure why, but luckily since I traveled to the States so early on in my life, I really got to experience a different side of golf, and that just really made me want to pursue this life. When I was around 7, I switched to an international British school in Germany, which helped me learn English from a very young age. Later, I then switched to a German school to get my Abitur, which is the German diploma, after high school. Obviously, that was because I wanted to make sure that I had a solid diploma in Germany for if I wanted to stay here. I then took a huge step and moved to the United States to pursue my college career at Rutgers University in New Brunswick, which is in New Jersey, and that's really close to New York City. I think it took me about 45 minutes to get into Manhattan with the train, which was obviously a dream come true. But obviously life has a way of showing you its middle finger. And yeah, one of my biggest challenges I've had in my life, I actually did not phase on the golf course, but in my own body. In 2024, I started feeling subtle chest pressure that I tried to ignore. One day it escalated really quickly though, and a sharp pain shot down my left arm, and my heart was racing, and I felt very dizzy. So my body was sending me clear signals that something was seriously wrong, and the anxiety that it triggered was overwhelming and insufferable. I had actually seen a cardiologist before this episode because of earlier symptoms. During that appointment, I was dismissed in a very unserious and almost mean tone. The doctor literally said, "I'm here to find out that nothing is wrong with you." And she said that, or she told me that I was 24 and I was a woman, so it's normal to feel dizzy sometimes. And I left that appointment feeling really frustrated and ignored. And deep down, I still knew something wasn't right. But obviously, I thought maybe I was the one that was crazy. So I stopped listening to my body. When the severe episode hit, my dad rushed me to the hospital. Every second on the way, I felt like I was gonna die. And, I had this intense anxiety that is very common for when your body tries to signal you that something is extremely wrong. At the hospital, then, the doctors ran a series of tests. First, they suspected a pulmonary embolism, so I had a CT scan done immediately, but thankfully that came back negative. Then after that, they considered myocarditis because of the blood tests that they had taken from me, which showed extremely abnormal heart results. I then stayed in the hospital for 2 weeks feeling super vulnerable, and especially the night after, I really thought this could be the last few seconds or minutes of my life. I really then understood how fragile life can be and how important it is to really, just enjoy every moment, because it can be gone just like that. The days after that, all of the doctors couldn't really figure out what was going on with me. They all suspected I had myocarditis. However, that didn't really make any sense to me because I wasn't sick beforehand. And there was this one doctor who wouldn't let go. And he wanted to dig deeper because he couldn't quite believe it was myocarditis either. And he insisted on performing a TEE after I had multiple procedures done already. And a TEE is basically a highly detailed ultrasound of the heart through the throat. And then finally, after almost 2 weeks in the hospital, he finally discovered the real issue, which was a PFO, which is basically a small hole in your heart that allows blood to bypass the lungs and flow into the wrong direction directly into your brain without being filtered through and enriched with oxygen. So basically, I had a blood clot that got stuck in my heart instead of going right through to my brain, which was very, very lucky because it could have ended a lot worse than what actually happened. Obviously, as you can all imagine, I was very relieved but also shocked at the same time because I didn't know what was going to happen next. So then after that, I had a PFO closure done, which is basically a little tool that looks like an umbrella from both sides that holds together the little hole, and then it overgrows with tissue after a while. However, the real issue is that 25% of the adult population actually does have a PFO, but most don't even know that they have it or that it even exists because it's very difficult to detect in a standard ultrasound. And even when people know they have the PFO, insurance doesn't usually cover the closure unless something serious has already happened. I just think it's crazy because you hear about these cases more and more. One of the most famous examples is Hailey Bieber, who suffered a small stroke related to a PFO. And when you think about how many people take birth control, which actually increase the risk of blood clots and strokes, and therefore PFO-related events are actually more common than most people realize they are, especially since 25% of the population has a PFO. That makes awareness and early detection extremely important. Early symptoms of a heart attack can be chest pain or pressure, pain spreading to arms, back, neck, jaw, or stomach, shortness of breath, cold sweats, vomiting, lightheadedness, or dizziness. However, symptoms in women can be less typical. Early symptoms of a stroke can be the sudden drooping or numbness of one side of the face, sudden weakness or numbness in one arm, slurred speech or strange speech, trouble understanding others, sudden loss of balance or coordination, sudden severe headache with no known cause, sudden trouble seeing in one or both eyes. Act fast and call emergency services immediately if any of these symptoms occur. And I will always be forever grateful for the doctor that wouldn't let go and was calm, professional, compassionate, and he would always explain everything super clearly so that I would understand what was happening with my body and not feel super lost, because I was already extremely anxious anyway, so he really helped calm me down. And obviously, after I was outside of this life-threatening situation, there were a lot of moments where I questioned if I would ever be able to play golf again the way I did before. But the doctor reassured me that since I only suffered a minor heart attack, that even though, the path back to getting just as strong as I was before was going to be a difficult one, I was going to be able to play at the same level again that I did before. And that really helped me get through all of that as well. And now, more than 6 months later, I am fully recovered. My heart is healthy again, and I feel stronger than ever. And yeah, I'm just very relieved that it happened the way it did, because I could have been anywhere. I travel a lot because of my tournaments, so I travel to countries like Morocco or Spain or even Czech Republic, and people over there, they don't really speak English, and I don't speak their language, obviously, so it could have really ended a lot worse. And I feel like it really was a blessing in disguise, almost. And going through this experience gave me a renewed appreciation for life, for my health, and, every single day that I get to experience on this planet. And it just reminded me how resilient our bodies and minds can be, and that we really have to listen to our bodies and advocate for our well-being. Even if doctors push you away and don't believe what you're saying, you shouldn't tell yourself you're crazy. Yeah, I really hope I did spark some hope and strength in some people that might need it with sharing my story and my journey. No matter the challenges we face, remember that every step of the journey makes us stronger. A piece of wisdom I can pass on to you that I've learned from my challenges is the mindset that everything happens for you, not to you. And follow along with the next episodes, because I'm going to be interviewing some very interesting athletes that also have a story to share. And I really hope you enjoy this new series that I started. And yeah, I wish you guys a very nice evening, day, or morning whenever you're watching this. And hope I see you for the next episode.